Hey everybody, this is Richard from the Metal Cell podcast. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our main sponsors, Rising Suns, the award-winning brewery in Cork. Definitely call in, lads, if you're around the Cork area for some handsome pints. Actually, there you go. Did you go ahead and with some beer company in Bristol or something to celebrate your single launch, or
Both
was it just made up?
No, we
No,
did.
no, it was real, yeah. So I work for a brewery over here. So
Ah, class.
we did a collaboration beer with them called Mouthtrap. So we kind of what did we do? We gave it to like a bunch of like local bars. Just took a few cases with us to Arctangent, gave a load away for free, and
Awesome.
just did that. Really, it was a bit of
Trying
fun.
some of them.
Yeah,
Love it. Love it. So,
yeah,
with
You're living the hipster life there, Josh. You know, you went from Galway to Bristol to work in a fucking brewery and release your own beer.
yeah. I mean, I was like, if you're working for a brewery, you might as well make the most of it, you know?
fucking right. No
That's
better
awesome.
boys, lads.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let me introduce my guests. I've got Josh and Conor from Host Body. How are we, lads?
Very well,
Welcome to
thank
the
you,
Good.
Richard.
show.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome to the show. Are the two
Cheers.
of you from Galway, lads? Are you?
Neither of us
No,
from Galway.
No,
None of you are from Galway.
uh,
Ah,
no, I
Claire,
mean,
halfway
we
there.
were, yeah, we both lived in Galway for a long time. Like, my
ah,
old band was based in Galway, but I'm from Clare and
right.
Connor's from Mayo.
Okay.
Ah,
And you
Neighbours,
both
Galway neighbours.
washed up in Bristol.
Yeah,
Yeah, both washed up in Galway and then both washed up in Bristol.
yeah.
Obviously, we'll talk about that. But the first of all, I want to congratulate you on your debut single of, and the band, as I said, is called Host Body. So there's Josh on guitars, vocals, Connor's on drums, Sam's on bass, Steve is on vocals and synths, and Paddy is on guitars. Is that the lineup? It's the
That's the
current
boys.
lineup.
That's it. That's the lads.
Yeah. Um, Brilliant song, lads. I'm out, I must say. Thanks, Howard, for giving me the nod to check it
not at
out.
all. Fucking, it's a great tune. I heard it.
Yeah.
Watched the video and it's fuck. This is quite cool.
Yeah.
Thank you
Let's
very
get
much.
chatting to the lads. And myself and Josh have history going a long time back too. So it was great to see you again, Josh. Looking well and looking healthy. I'm
Thank you,
looking
man.
forward to catching you
You
in
too.
person and giving you a big bear hug.
A
Listen to
big
that
Likewise.
track.
joint.
It sounds like you could do with it, you know?
Very sweet.
Yeah, we just got more and more miserable as the years have gone on, you know, so the music's gone in turn with that.
So how did Host Body form, lads?
Uh, well,
Not else to do, like,
yeah, not much else to be here. No, no, I guess I'd been here for a couple of years and was kind of had been playing bits and pieces of music with people. And then Connor moved over and we started jamming, just the two of us, just kind of getting in a room and not really with any specific intention at the very start. And then as we kind of progressed, we were just like, right, let's write some stupid music that's like heavy and complicated and just, challenging for
yeah.
us as much as
Yeah.
anybody else, really.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have a bit of fun. Um, and yeah, that was kind of how it all started, and we started kind of putting some songs together and working on demos and bringing them in, and then we realized that we needed other band members and such, so we kind of gradually started drafting in people from Bristol or around Bristol, who we kind of thought would be suitable for the project.
Okay.
Until we eventually kind of landed on the lineup that we have now. And we're really happy with the lineup, to be fair.
So the plan was always to get a band together to play live more so than it being a studio project.
It's hard to say. Like, it kind of, there was moments where it looked like
It
it
was
might end up a studio
organic,
thing, and
Connor.
then
It was organic.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was organic.
we
Yeah.
yeah, it just came together in the end. So it's good.
Yeah, I don't think we had like any particular intention of like whether it would be a studio project or a live project. Like we both obviously were playing live, and playing together in a room was a big part of writing the material as much as playing at home as well and writing stuff separately was they're both kind of tied into each other. So I think, well, for me anyway, like playing live is a massive thing that I love to do, and I don't really ever want to not have an outlet to do that, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Yeah, it must have
I'm
been tough
less
having those.
live motivated than Josh.
You must have found it tough, Josh, in the recent times not playing those gigs. I mean, how was it in Bristol? I mean, no, I know over here there was a few kind of like streaming gigs and so on, but that live thing didn't really come back till I think it was February 22 or something. How
yeah,
was it in
no,
Bristol?
I think it probably came back a little bit earlier here. I can't remember exactly when, but I remember going to see Bob Vylan, which was like the first gig I'd gone to after the pandemic, and it was just like
What a
it was
disappointment.
in. No, it was actually a really good gig. It was in Exchange in Bristol, and no one had been to a show in like over a year or however long it was, and we were all kind of going in with our masks on to start, and then we get in there and everyone just starts moshing and having the crack, and like we were
Moshing
we
to
were all
Bob
like,
Dylan.
oh, we'll just Bob Vylan.
I
Bob
was
Dylan.
fucking thinking, what the Christ? I
So
heard
Bob
Bob
Vylan's
Dylan
like,
for some reason. Fuck's
no,
sake.
I mean, I think that's probably the point of the
That's
name, right?
that's the Bristol accent, Richie.
But
Get the dig in there, Howard.
so I guess the music is some kind of like hybrid of like hip hop and hardcore punk with some
Okay.
like metal elements in there as well. And they were great, but I just remember thinking like at the we went into the gig and I was like, oh, we'll just hang out at the back and not get too involved. Everyone's still a bit fucking freaked out by the pandemic, and like by the end of the show, like there was a stage invasion. I was on the stage screaming, fucking roaring, like the whole place was just mental. So that was a great release, to get
Yeah.
back into live music. And Bristol is famous for live music, and is one of the first places to go to shows like every week.
Yeah.
Our Massive Attack from Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Class band. Like
Yeah.
imagine you, Howard, imagine playing live and then suddenly stopping, like what happened in Ireland, and then not having a band as such, like the position Josh was in there, and trying to fucking
Mhm.
script together
Yeah.
thoughts, ideas, and then get it in a city probably that you weren't really used to at that stage. Josh, when did you move over?
So 6 months before the pandemic, just
Wow.
enough
Yeah.
Oh,
time
okay,
to
right. You moved before.
yeah,
Oh man, Jesus, that's
yeah,
even
yeah.
worse again.
But you've absolutely like hit the nail on the head there, to be honest. Like it was pretty to try and even just meet people who were, because normally your whole networking of like meeting musicians, right, is like going to gigs, going to bars, meeting people, finding common interest,
Yeah.
and hard to kind of start pulling it all. But luckily, when Conor arrived, it all seemed to start happening, and it was
Once you've
great. So
got
yeah.
like guitars, vocals, drums, it's kind of it's easy to fit the rest in around that then.
At the time, like, how did you see things in Ireland? Did you see it as being something that was coming to some sort of stalemate, or was it thriving, or was it just that you were sick of it and needed a new challenge in it all?
I don't know, man. I don't want to
Go on,
say
tear
ne
us down.
I don't want to say negative things about Ireland. I love living in Ireland, and I really miss them, and well, Galway is anyway. And there was less going on, and so I was like running shows in Galway for a long time.
Feast, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like partially to like be able to give a platform to artists to be able to come to Galway and play gigs, but also for me to be able to get to watch those artists, you know. So coming here, I thought about starting doing promotions here, and I was just like, well,
You
there's
don't need to.
absolutely there's zero need
You
to
don't
do
need that
this.
in your life,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's yeah, I mean, I never made a penny off of it. It was always just for having good bands around. But there's loads of people here doing a great job at it. So I just get to go to the gigs and drink pints. It's great.
Yeah.
Any spare room going, no?
I live in a one bed flat, man. Well, you're welcome to the couch.
That's grand. We pumped up.
Okay, I'm going to play a shortened version of the current single, which is Mouth. And I would recommend anybody out there even to check out the video, because we will talk about the video after I play this section of the song. And so this is Mouth. Here we go. That is class. And you know what? There's so many great bands mixed into that, but I just think again, because I'm such a fucker for Fugazi, and I just love I love hearing Fugazi, whether or not you're even aware of it, but I can hear Fugazi and the cool bass and the rhythm section going on there, and just the contours. Ah, it's just class, like, you know.
That's the first time I've got that one. That's
Yeah.
I can hear what you're saying now that you've said it, but that's the first time I've heard that reference.
I was going to ask you, like, what do you guys hear? Because like everybody hears different stuff, and like Conor said, I've never heard Fugazi either, but that's incredibly entertaining to me to hear that.
There's so much, man. There's a lot to take in. For me, there's a bit of Neurosis Souls at Zero vibe off it. Zao maybe a little bit. Fucking all the obvious ones, Botch and so on. The Armed. There is post elements in it too. There's post metal elements in there that's really fucking cool. But there's a lot of layers to this. What strikes me about it most is it's so fucking abrasive. It's so dark and fucking harsh and kind of industrial sounding, you know?
That was the vibe, I think.
It wasn't surprising when I looked to see who mixed it, and it was yourself, Josh, because I remember asking you to mix a 5LA record back in the day. I can hear you all over this thing. You know, I really can. You know, it's not too big a leap in my brain to go, yeah, that's Josh from Elenchus. But it's interesting to me how more abrasive this is than Elenchus. Elenchus had a lot of fun riffs, a lot of little kind of fiddly bits, a lot of introspective, emotional moments, whereas this is just a big fucking punch in the face. So do you think you've gotten angrier as you got older, or is it just the way things have gone?
I try to kill all the fun, to be honest. I'm the fun police in this band.
The fun.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely an element of that. Like this is a collaboration, you know, between us and Conor has probably got a more leans more into that side of things. Although saying that, like, you know, in terms of Elenchus, it was very much a five-way writing process.
Mm.
So, you know, I was one part of that. And to be fair, I probably wasn't coming up with the fiddly little introspective riffs all that much. You know, I was probably the one who was going, maybe we put some more screaming on that, and how about we just put distortion on all the drums, and you know, like, and that kind of stuff. You know, but it was a five-way democracy. So what ended up happening out with Elenchus was a very diverse sound, I think.
Yeah.
Which was really fun to work on, very frustrating at times, but it was also very fun to work on. Whereas this, I think, is like a little bit more, for me anyway, is a bit more focused in vision wise. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I was saying earlier, we always planned to make it challenging and to make it you know, like not difficult to listen to, but like abrasive and harsh, and that was always kind of part of the brief, to, you know, make it just not necessarily a pleasant experience in the traditional sense of what you think of being pleasant.
Yeah.
It's a
I
hard
think it's a
balance,
lesson to
though.
bands who are starting out, you know. If you are starting out as a band, I think this is a great place to have a look at what you've done in the last while, just the way that you came out running straight away, sprinting from the blocks. It's a video, great track, the imagery, the couple of gigs along with it. It's all really strikingly professional. It's really cool, you know.
Yes.
And I can see the difference between Elenchus and Host Body in the sense of that focus, that singular kind, not a singular focus, but more of a genre, I guess, you know.
I mean, we have only put out one single, so you know, like
And
when
we've been jamming for
I'll have a
nearly two
whole
years
totally
now.
different
So
spin in this again. So
yeah, like I would say, like in a live sense, like if you saw a live set, this is one aspect of what we're doing. Like I think there is a continuity and through line of that kind of abrasiveness, and like we use a lot of like electronic noise and samples and things like that between tracks, to really kind of just keep the tension up in during the set. But there are slower bits and more like stripped back stuff. It's not all, you know, 7/14 riffs played really fast, you know, like
sadly.
there's the yeah. I think yeah, I mean, like definitely we're trying to challenge ourselves all the way through the songs, but that's not always just playing fast. You know, it's, I think some of the stuff you will, I think particularly you, Howard, would probably like some of the other stuff we
I'm
do,
looking forward
because
to that.
it is
I gotta like it
more
anyway.
leaning into like the post metal stuff,
Mm.
you know. Just big fat chunky riffs, you know, are in there as well.
There's a few fat riffs in there as well.
Fat boys.
And the video then, lads, we'll just talk about the lyrics. The mouth is a truly remarkable thing, capable of ending worlds, good lover, fate healer, designed to break the fabric of minds. Who's writing the lyrics on this one?
That's Steve. That's not much to do with me or Josh, really. That's I don't know. Josh, you might have a better read on what he's going for.
Well, I know that the in terms of the lyrics for Mouth, you know, it's about the mouth being, you know, capable of, you know, doing so many things from destruction to creation, and the scope of all of that, and just how this is my read on it as well. I don't take this as verbatim, but you know, just how powerful that the tool of a mouth can be. And it's kind of funny the way we wrote this song in the sense that in the sense of the lyrics, because like me and Conor work on demos and give things like working titles, often just like one word working title or whatever. And Steve took our working title was Mouth, and Steve just took that as like the concept for the song, and built a concept around that. Which was really interesting for us, because you know, I think at like early points when we were writing this, we were thinking like, oh, you know, it would have a completely different name, it would be a completely different thing, whatever. But then when the lyrics all came together, it was like, well, it's obviously going to be called
It
Mouth.
just fits, yeah.
That's what it is.
It's
and
the reverse of how bands typically do it, I reckon. Like the mouth, like the title sort of fed the lyrics rather than the other way around.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
I mean, I guess maybe there's something in the subconsciously, you know, when you're writing riffs and just writing a demo, that maybe you do pick up on something in the sound that informs you to very quickly write a working title. So in that sense, I quite like that, that it ended up that way. And then if you want to just like have a little bit of info about the video, we just were like, fuck it, let's just roll with this concept. Let's just go mouth, and go with a very trying to get a very strong kind of vision for that, and just do a video of a mouth as well. So let there be no
really striking. When you look at it first, there's a sort of a sense of a little bit uncomfortable, but then it just swings through different. He's writing lyrics. He's probably going through the same kind of concepts in his head. But it is a really striking video, and it just develops really nicely.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 out of 10,
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, we were also trying to work, within a modest budget. So we wanted to do something that looked very kind of and glossy to some degree.
I have to ask you,
yeah,
when ladies, is she chewing up? Is that what it is?
Yeah, at one point, yeah, she is chewing up cigarettes. I honestly, like, I was there when we were filming the whole thing, and I did feel bad for her at times when we were kind of asking her, so now can you just rule out black bile, and now can you chew up cigarettes, and and can you actually learn all the lyrics to the song, and can you lip sync them up, even though like some of the timing signatures are really weird, and and all of this, and she just took it all in her stride. I think she's like 20, like the video met her at London Fashion Week, and she just, like, she's a model, and she just agreed to do it.
Wow.
And yeah, she was so good. So we were very lucky to
I
have
hope
her.
you bought her
to be
for
honest, the
beers
whole
afterwards.
crew that I did, yeah.
And what's her name? I don't want to mispronounce her name, so let's give her a shout out,
Oh God, I don't know if I could pronounce it correctly either.
We just say Parada.
Yeah, Parada. Yeah.
No, it was a great job.
It's
a hell of a performance. It's really intense,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was like super enthused by the whole experience, honestly, of making the video, because we had a really professional team who really did like a great job. And yeah, her performance was amazing. I mean, it's like funny on the day, because you when you're coming up with a video, you've got all these ideas, and it's so abstract that you're like, oh, we'll do this and we'll do that, and then when you've got a person sitting in front of you and you're asking them to do these things, you're like, oh God,
I don't know.
There was a couple of
no.
There was like a couple of things in the video which I'm not gonna, or in the concept of the video, which I'm not gonna go into. But when we were shooting on the day, I just cut them, because I was just like, not doing that. We're just not doing that.
Yeah. So. And let's talk about the production. Was Rory, your brother, involved in the production of? I think he was in this song anyway. What was his thoughts?
Conor talk about that.
Yeah, what was his thoughts on hearing it for the first time, and maybe talk about that?
I mean, I can't really speak on his first time hearing it. Josh probably knows more about that. But me and Rory recorded at Rory's gaffing, or actually your parents' place in Clare.
Yeah, Rory's got like a studio down there. He's doing a bunch of session work for bands and stuff. So it seemed like a no-brainer to work with him on this.
So I actually had just a disaster with having to fly back and over, because I got called for a job interview and stuff. It was a nightmare. But we eventually got settled, and we did like just one full day at Rory's place. And it was great. It was so nice to like drums with the drummer. Yeah. He'd like anytime I had like an idea for a stupid drum fill or something that I hadn't actually tested with the band, I was just like, oh, I think this would be cool. Rory's like, do it, man. Fuck them. They'll get over it if it sounds good. And so there was loads of that stuff where we'd go over sex a bunch of times just to make sure like we could get it as ridiculous as possible. It was great. I think they ended up like the room sounds great. Rory knows what he's doing. I had like about as good a day as you could have recording drums, apart from the fact that I was absolutely knackered after playing that song for 6 or 7 hours. But It was great.
Damn. So we'll take back to you, Josh. When you gave Rory we'll say the completed song, what was his opinion on it? Was he impressed or?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's my brother, obviously. So like he's probably like my harshest critic.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
That's why I'm asking. Like,
well, yeah. So yeah. I mean, he really liked it, and he was very complimentary about it and everything. But I remember like when we were just before I sent it off for mastering, I was actually with Rory here, and I was going through I was just like finishing off the mix at the very end of the production, and I was about to send it off, and I was just like to Rory, I was like, "Oh, you just have a little listen to this," and then he was like, he listened to it, and oh, so you've got a bit of flam going on there, and a bit of this and a bit of that, and I'm sending this in like 10 minutes, man. He was like, "Well, no, I don't think you should, and so he's like basically we went back to it and we fixed it, but Rory is a great person for me to work with. I've worked with him for years because he will be really critical,
yeah.
And I think that's like that was kind of like Elenkus was very much in that vein of we were very reluctant to kind of settle for things that were not up to a kind of a high standard as we were hoping for. And maybe part of that is to do with kind of sibling rivalry or something, where you're kind of not letting them get away with anything. So
you really need that because we're having the same problem at the moment with Parkland. There's always this feeling of urgency to rush something out. You hear things like that, a little flam in the left fucking ear 3 minutes into song 4, whatever it is, and you're going back and is it worth fixing? But I think the answer is always yes. It's always worth going back and fixing. You need that Rory in your band to turn around and say, no, this isn't going out in 10 minutes. We're going to spend a week here now getting this right, and then we'll send it out,
Well, yeah, we can push the track back a week as well, just because of like a deadline, and then just as it was coming up to the deadline, we had to send it off for mastering. Me and Josh had a listen, and we're just like, this is not ready yet. We just need to push everything back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, saying that Rory is critical, Conor is also very critical.
It's just a drummer thing.
That's a drummer thing, yeah. We're all the same.
But yeah, I'm more like, oh, it sounds great, guys. Let's just do it. Let's get it out. So I really rely.
That's a guitarist thing, then, isn't it? You just
maybe, yeah. Like all I can hear is feedback.
My guitar sounds great.
But like in terms of production and creating, I really rely on being around people like that to help make things as good as it can be, really, as much as it can be challenging at times, but yeah, definitely having Rory on as not just as an engineer, but he did help in terms of helping kind of steer some of the production ideas and stuff like that. And I would highly recommend anyone listening to go and check him out and check out his studio.
What's his studio called, Josh?
He's just under his own at the moment. It's just like Rory Guy drumming or something like that. But if you just Google his name, you'll find him. But he's like obviously banging this drum now, but he's been great to work with.
But like he was on the podcast with Rope Maker, and he did a fantastic job.
Oh, really? I missed that one.
Yeah,
he did a fantastic job on that album as well. Great album.
Yeah, he's been working with Sam on Apogee and Tide. And
that's right.
With
we were chatting to Sam not so long ago as well, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I was kind of coming on, I was like, oh, I'm the third member of Elenkus to come on
side projects.
Yeah.
Let's talk about actually side projects. I know both of you were involved in two separate. Well, obviously for Conor, it was a band, and for you, Josh, you did an ambient kind of soundscape album. Now Fading, it was called. So you did 7 tracks on it.
Jesus. Yeah, you've done your research, Richie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that was just,
I was just gonna say it's like Nardware.
That is a little known project that not many people have listened to, but Yeah, it was pretty much a project that I started in Galway and then finished during lock. It actually kind of started as this weird thing. I don't if you listen to the songs on Bandcamp, you don't really get it, but there's three of those. Oh no, two of the songs that are on that record that are actually like synced up to YouTube videos. So I basically like took old footage from a YouTube video and I took the audio and manipulated it and put a song in the background and then I put that audio to back to the video and then I manipulated the video, played and then kind of made like it was supposed to be kind of like an audio and visual project.
Oh, okay.
And I did that with a Bill Hicks clip and
Knife
I
fight.
did it with yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Night fight, yeah.
Wow. And also a track which contains a sample from an old episode of Taggart, if you remember
Assume.
that
There's
TV
been a
show.
number.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I did there's another one online with like David Icke on it. I don't know if David Icke is like a mad
Oh,
person.
the lizard guy.
The lizard
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
yeah.
But before David like became a mad lizard person, he was a
He's a
footballer.
goalkeeper.
He was a
Yeah.
goalkeeper.
Yeah, and then he used to present the football on the BBC, and I found an old interview of him, or not interview, an old like bit of news footage where he's just basically like reading the football
Post
results, like
football, pre-lizard.
yeah, West
Yeah.
Ham United won,
Yeah.
Dagenham and Redbridge nil.
There's four tracks that stand out for me on that, Josh. Knife Fight, as you mentioned, with Bill Hicks, that's excellent. And Assume, that's the one with Taggart. And then there's two ones there, right? That the first one, Run Alone, okay? So that's the Shanos one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a problem with it.
Oh, you do? Oh,
Don't
fucking
you
great.
can't
Nobody has
understand the
called me up
language,
on this
no?
shit yet. Like, please, Richie, hit with some abuse.
I loved it, by the way.
There'd be no abuse. It's just, I would love to hear that without the drums. I thought the drums were too much on it.
Oh,
So
really? Okay. Right.
if you can at all, if you have it handy at some stage, send it on to me without the drums if it's not too much trouble. Because I think like you've created a beautiful soundscape along with the Shano singing, like it's fabulous, but just I thought the drums were just like a distraction on it. And because
Yeah,
you
I
even
mean,
said that, I hope I didn't destroy it, the reworking of it, like, and I was there. Well, you didn't
But
destroy
that's
it,
what
but
I
like,
love about it is that it teeters on that edge of falling apart. I think the drums in it are necessary in many ways because that Shanos and the Keening and so on, all the plays have done it, Lankham have done it. You're
yeah.
seeing it in popular culture every now and again. And
mm,
it's really done in a one-dimensional way all the time. It's a
Mm.
beautiful thing in its own right, but I thought it's just that kind of chaos is really needed in something like that. I really, really actually enjoyed that one.
thank
Yeah,
you.
so I can see where you're coming from, Richie, but from the way my brain works, I really,
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
it's different opinions, isn't it? Yeah. But like the last track
Mm.
anyway, on it, Miserable, Josh, is, I think that bridges Olympus and Host Body
Oh,
perfectly
really?
together.
Okay.
You could
Uh,
see
uh,
where you're going
it's
with it, like.
interesting.
Yeah, there's elements there for sure.
Well, I have a 4-track cyber grind EP that I
Hypergrind.
wrote between doing that and Host Body, which is just like insanely fast drums and synthesizers and samples and just the most abrasive fucking shit I could possibly do.
It's a lot.
And yeah, it's an awful lot. And that was actually what I worked on after that during lockdown. And for some reason, I never released it. I'm not sure. But
Huh.
yeah, that was almost bridged to Host Body. So it's interesting. It's really interesting to hear you say that because yeah, there's a whole another 4 tracks. I think it's like a 10-minute piece, but split into 4 tracks.
Wow.
That was in the vein of that the
Yeah,
end of that miserable track.
cool. And Conor, I just want to go over your band as well. Boko Tono, is that how we pronounce it?
Sure, yeah, I guess so. It's a made up bullshit word anyway, but it's open to interpretation. That's how we
Yeah.
pronounce it.
So talk to me about that band. You were kind of post-metal, really, weren't you? Was it, or were you just exploring kind of different sounds, trying to find your feet?
It's probably like math rock was where it kind of started. Like our guitarist
Okay.
Rory, who's a genius, he's mad at used to be definitely, but mad into like math rock and like and so I watch you from afar and those kind of bands.
I can hear that. I haven't wrote
And
down, and so I watch you from afar. Yeah, that's down there. Yeah, as an
yeah,
influence straight away. Yeah.
that was definitely like the earlier songs for stuff that Rory kind of wrote on his own, and then we kind of filled in the gaps. And then the EP that we released was as we started to kind of write things together, and it got a little bit more maybe probably and a little bit more weird, which is probably me coming into it. And yeah, it was probably inspired a lot that band by the kind of music that Feast were also putting on in Galway around that time. There was loads of like math rock in
Mm.
Ireland around that stage. And it's like when those are the bands that you're able to go see, like, every couple of weeks, that kind of informs the music that you like to make, or at least it did for me.
Mm. And were you involved in Feast,
But yeah,
Conor?
we're like, I would float in and out, I would say.
Okay.
Sometimes help out on the door, move stuff around.
Mm.
I wouldn't like to like claim responsibility for, in a good way or a bad way, for anything that happened with Feast. But yeah, we're still going. Bocatone is still doing stuff. Obviously with it being like fully remote now, like I'm over here full time. It's much slower.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that like Rory and Owen are working on stuff that's like really cool. They try to get together like once or twice a month if they can, and if we ever get around to releasing it, I'm super happy with where it is so far.
Okay, cool. And I like the fact as
Cool.
well that you used Aidan Cunningham and James Sheridan, like the lads in Alinka. So there's a nice
Yeah.
link there between both bands.
Yeah, I think that was like Aiden. I mean, he was kind of recording a lot of like heavy music in Ireland around that time, and it was added an air of like credibility to your band when you're just, oh, record with Aiden, it'll sound good. People like, oh, he recorded it, that's going to sound good. Like, so yeah, and then we kind of like we went away from that afterwards and just did everything ourselves, because then you can spend a week recording 4 songs and just make good noises instead of being worried about spending too much money in the studio.
Yeah. And James Sheridan,
Um,
shout out to James. Always give James a shout
Shout
out.
out to James.
Mm.
He's always done cool out everything I've seen. I've got maybe that thing behind me on the wall is a James Sheridan piece.
Yeah.
James's boy. I haven't seen him in ages, but yeah, he makes really cool art.
Guy makes the best, man. Remember when Linkus, when he first started using his stuff in the posters and the merch and the album. Yeah, it was fucking great. I had no idea who James Sheridan was until Jack was telling me. I think we were up playing with you in Galway, and you were telling the poster, and you were like, yeah, he fucking drew that shit, like,
Yeah.
because it was an age, I guess, where everybody was photoshopping and using digital imagery and whatnot. But yeah, he's got a really chaotic style. It's really cool.
Yeah, James is amazing. I mean, he's still a good friend. I think yeah, I felt a little bit bad that we didn't work with him at the start of Host Body. It was kind of a little
Yeah.
bit of a strange thing. I've worked with James for over a decade. But this is, like I said, it was kind of like a nice opportunity to work with some new people.
Yeah.
Although saying that, happened with him a little bit about maybe doing something together probably soon.
I think it's good to like set the distinction at the beginning of the band that this isn't going to be like
I think
the
so.
same
I
as the
think
old
so.
bands.
Yeah, I think we're such a force here for 4 to 5 years, and it's important to break away from that in some sense. I wish people could have seen Olympus in their pomp. A lot of it seems to have passed a generation at this point.
Yeah.
And watching the reactions to God Alone, for example, who are a fucking amazing band and worthy of everything that's coming towards them, but it was the same thing. I remember seeing God Alone and going like, I remember seeing Elenkus do this. This is, you know, in the same pocket. And as you were saying, there's a lot of math rock around the time, but it's still being informed in the bands that are coming out. There's a very, very distinct parallel between Gone and Elenkus, I feel, in terms of the sound and the approach and so on. We should be great. We should be grateful for Elenkus giving us that, because it's really fucking cool to see.
Well, thank you very much, man. But I think, like, in the same breath, you can say that Elenkus was influenced by all the bands that were around us at that time as well. You know, like Five Will Die. I was thinking about one particular gig. It was I think it was them Martyrs, Five Will Die, Murdoch, and Elenkus, like all on the same bill, and I was like, that was a fucking incredible lineup.
You just couldn't relax, like, you know, because was such fucking good form, and like it was one of the only times that there'd be an argument over who plays first, because everyone wants to play first.
Yeah, so you get pissed and watch the rest of the band. But yeah, like I would say, you know, there's a lineage there that is like, you know, it's very kind of you to talk about Elenkus, but you know, it comes down from other bands as well. Oh, Gacy's Threads were on that goddamn lineup as well.
Steve Curry, man.
You know, like, fuck. Yeah, exactly. And Curry had a label up in Belfast who signed Elenkus after for our first record, and you know, like all those people in the whole scene really like develops over time, and until you get to where you've got a band like God Alone, you know, which is fucking sick, you know. And I love those guys. Their band are amazing. You know, more power to them.
Yeah.
Big up the lads.
Legends.
Yeah, I'm actually going to see him this Saturday. Actually, are you going to that, Howard? Upstart Festival. It's in Glounthaune.
We're hoping to, but we're doing a mixing session on kind of a final mixing session on Saturday. So it depends on how long that goes on. Okay. I'd wager it'll be going on until the wee hours of the morning. So unlikely, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, the new Partholon track that you sent me sounding.
Oh yes, I've been sending a few.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
Oh no, I've been sending a few sneaky ones here and there.
Yeah, it sounded really good, man. I was hearing like some different influences and stuff like.
It's a lot different than Five Will Die. I guess there's a bit more progression in it. But I was delighted to see that because we're doing the same, and that she worked with Brad Boatwright, who we had on the cast maybe a year or so ago. Found him really insightful, really committed to what he does. So when I was looking through the credits and everything, I saw Brad, and I was like, this is going to be fucking sound great. Yeah. How did you find working with Brad?
Oh, excellent. I mean, we worked with Brad before with the Elenkus, but on this, I think that all went through Aiden, if I remember correctly. I can't really remember. But on this one, Brad was super like you know, receptive to like different mixes and ideas, and like he kind of came back to us with like a couple of different reference mixes, as mastering engineers do, and we were pushing him in one direction and pushing him in another direction, and then saying, oh
yeah, we sent him all over the place, like
we really put him through his paces, and he was like, he just took it all in his stride and didn't care at all, and was just really happy to help us get the result that we wanted at the end of the day, you know. And also he was like, oh, you know, like, yeah, you tighten up the low end actually, and now you can hear this a bit more clarity here, or, you know. So yeah, super insightful, really great dude.
And he sent us a salsa recipe with the final mix, so
yeah,
so that was a nice touch.
Classic.
I think I glitched out of existence there for a second. Apologies.
No, you just had this big shit-eating smile on your face, so it was just beautiful to look at, Howard.
I'll have to put some coins in the meter for the passage internet with you.
So let's talk about Arctangent. Jesus Christ, what a gig to get, lads.
Very fortunate.
Yeah,
we're very lucky to get that, to be fair. I think
one of the best lineups, I'd say, of Europe in relation to bands playing this summer, I would say. Go on, sorry.
For sure. Yeah. I think we just got lucky, really, that our first gig just happened to be that there was somebody there who had the right ear, and we got offered the show pretty quick.
Wow. And what time did you come on it?
We were on at
2:30, 2, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just talk about the kind of build up to it, lads. You know, I mean, the nerves, and what was the song selection like, or are you limited to what you have working with at the moment?
I mean, there definitely wasn't. So the night before, we went to see Converge, and Josh and I were probably 8 cans deep, crowd surfing at the front of Converge at 11 p.m. the night before. So there wasn't much in the way of like, pretty much the polar opposite of what you're supposed to do a night before a big gig.
Okay.
We did not get good rest. I wasn't particularly nervous or anything. And the song selection, we played the 5 songs that we had ready to go. So it was like,
Yeah.
It was great experience. Hope
Yeah,
we'll
I
be
think
back next year.
we prepared, like, for our first run of shows, we prepared 4 songs, and then we knew we were doing our tangent and a couple more shows, one in Manchester and one in London, with a great local band here called Skin Failure. So we decided that we should add another song into the set. So I think basically like the prep for our tangent was just taking the set that we had prepared a few months back and adding another song into it and just refining it and kind of tightening it up a little bit.
Added some extra like electronic stuff as well, just to
Yeah.
like flesh out the set.
Yeah, for sure. We added, like, Connor's running like a noise box setup from the drum kit, and Steve's running along with his synth setup another noise rig there. So that allowed us to be even more abrasive and
Horrific
sounding for people, which was kind of the point, you know? Yeah.
But what struck me was Steve does a lot of, doesn't he?
He does a lot. Is that what you asked?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Lord, go on.
so when I was listening first, I was convinced it was just you, Josh, you know. But when I saw some of the clips on Instagram, I was surprised to see how much Steve is actually doing. So he takes quite the burden of the vocals, does he?
Oh, absolutely. I
He's
would
the
say
primary
Steve's-
vocalist.
Yeah, Steve is the lead,
Okay, yeah.
lead singer. I just do backing vocals, really.
Okay.
I think maybe in the writing process, I probably will write, or I will like add vocal parts in. But then when we get into like kind of rehearsing the songs and stuff, Steve is like very much in the fore, and myself and Sam, who plays bass, backed him up really more than anything.
I was gonna say shout out Sam, because he'll be mad if we say he doesn't do vocals.
yeah.
Sam also does vocals.
Yeah, because it's not on the press release, so.
But yeah, so yeah, Steve's an insanely talented dude. I mean, I think everybody really who we've been lucky enough to work with is. But yeah, so he's running like his synthesizers and playing synths and some sequence things and a noise rig through pedals and stuff, and also screaming. So yeah, he's very busy, you know.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy up on stage there, like, you know. So yeah,
What
but
about-
he's amazing.
What about Paddy Daly then? How did you come across Paddy?
Paddy's from a band called the St. Pierre Snake Invasion, who are a really awesome Bristol band. But I met Paddy first in Bristol because he was a promoter.
Okay.
He was promoting shows, so he put on Elenchus probably first in like, I don't know, maybe like 2016 or 2017 or something like that. We'd been over to Bristol a few times before that and never really got in with a promoter that really, you know, suited us very well. And then Paddy was running the Stag and Hounds at that time, and he was putting on shitloads of math rock bands all the time. There was a really fucking cool scene in Bristol around then, and he put on Elenchus with Kai Noah. Because I came across this poster the other day, and it was Kai Noah, who was a band that has Ollie Kokup, who's the drummer in Steve's other band. So Steve has another band called Ojive's Big Band, and Ollie is the drummer in that. And then Dave Larkin was in that band, and he was the bass player in Black Peaks,
Okay.
who Elenchus toured with, and the singer from Black Peaks is now in Skin Failure, who we
Played with like 3 days ago.
yeah, just played with, who are our mates. And then so it was Elenchus, Kai Noah, and then the other band on that lineup was Harriet. I don't know if you know those guys, but they are a fucking awesome British
Blowing up.
band. Yeah. And you
How
should
would you
definitely
spell
check them
that,
out.
lads?
Heriot.
Oh, okay, Harriet.
Oh,
Right,
yeah, I've
okay.
seen the name
Harriet.
pop up every now and again. Do you ever
Yeah,
hear of a
so-
band called Organ Christ, actually, from Bristol? They were like
Name rings a bell.
They were a noise band. It was just I think they were a two-piece. They had a guy with the table of pedals and another guy doing the screamcore stuff, you know. We played with them maybe 5 years ago in Bristol. I was
Wow,
wondering, had Steve anything to do with that? Because it sounded very similar to what what you're describing with the setup, you know.
well, I think honestly for Steve, this it's kind of a newer thing, right? For him
Mm.
that getting into all this noise stuff. He used to be a drummer, um, and we got him in as a
I mean,
vocalist and singer.
still does the drums with the road also.
Yeah, he's got
Okay.
a lot of projects. The Road being another one, which is fucking awesome. But yeah, no, I've never heard of or I've heard of the name of that band, but I've never come across them here.
Yeah, there's parallels there when you were describing the setup. It's what I was picturing. I remember playing there, and it's actually quite cool. But it's such an intense thing to have to sit through for 40 minutes, I guess. There's a
Yeah.
lot of noise, you know.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yes.
yeah.
So what's the
I mean-
length of your set now at the moment, lads? Is it are you keeping, we don't know any more about these new songs that you're playing even so are they all kind of short and abrasive? Like we'll say there's a four or five song set lasts 30 minutes, 20 minutes or
About half an hour probably,
okay.
give or take, with fucking around between songs.
Right.
About half an hour, I'd say. There's a few longer. It's definitely like, even in the first 5 songs, you can kind of hear that it's a band trying. I feel like you can hear that it's a band trying to hone in a sound. So there's
Right.
some like faster, punkier, like more hardcore stuff, and then there's a few more post-metal, bit longer winded stuff that
I'm looking forward
it's
to
still quite
the
varied.
long-winded stuff.
Yeah, it's but yeah, about 28 minutes, I reckon, something
Yeah.
like that. If we played it speed it's supposed to be played at.
Which we don't.
Which we do not.
We play it faster.
And do you find this a challenge? I suppose you could, whatever about Steve, but what about you, Josh, on vocals? Is it a challenge to be at that fucking level, screaming for? It's intense, like.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a challenge, of course. But I think really the biggest challenge has been for me with this band is that I've not been in a new band for a long time.
Okay.
And you know, you can play as much as you want in the rehearsal room, but until you've done a ton of gigs, you don't really know how to play the songs live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know, okay, where you got to take a really important breath, or where you can run off into the crowd, or you can, you know, do a little bit of improv or whatever it is, you know, like, because that's a lot of performances always are. There's like a bit of give and take, and until you played the songs live kind of conservatively, you don't really know where you can kind of have fun with them, you know.
Yeah.
And that for me has been the challenging thing. You know, like performing the lyrics and reading and playing the guitar is hard enough, but like when you're trying to give a performance as well, that is different to what you do in the rehearsal room. That's the really challenging part, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But when you cover it up with enough noise, nobody really knows the difference.
Doesn't matter what you do.
What about stage fitness?
Yeah, I always had this idea of doing like cardio while you rehearse. So like you play all the songs, but you're jogging in the rehearsal room.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah,
Not a bad idea. The first gig that we did when we came back from pandemic with the Magdalena in Limerick. So it was our first time playing in front of a crowd in two and a half years, or whatever it was. 2 songs in, and I tore my hamstring.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Like proper fucking tore it. Like
Fuck, man. Did you manage
I had
to
lunge.
You
I
just
had
sit on the
lunge
ground
hard
or
out
what?
in.
You want to
Just
see
played
the
on and
state of
pretended
his
I
pants?
was all right.
But is it like when the adrenaline kicks in at a gig, you know, you might hurt yourself. Like, I'm often cutting my hands and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
and then I've done that, and then afterwards you go, oh shit, I'm actually quite in pain now, you know.
the morning after when the back seizes up and the leg up, the bruises start appearing, and the blood up, and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? You know?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I'm
See,
too
we're
old
not
for this.
we're not
but
getting any younger, lads. Conor looks
don't know how to do anything else.
What's the age difference there, man? Are you the youngest? You have to be.
I am the youngest, yeah. I'm the baby of the band.
Yeah.
Lucky
I'm
bastard.
I don't know,
wear
what's
and
the
tear.
I'm like 6 or 7 years younger maybe than the next
Yeah,
oldest, but
I think we range from like late 20s to early 40s
Mm.
within the members of the band. I don't know we should say who is what.
no, I'm not
No.
looking at
But you need a young guy driving
That's not
things
funny.
on, Josh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that guy, to be honest, but
So what's coming down the line for you lads? Then give us a rough plan of the next few months for Host Body before we call it a night.
Well, we are hoping to get into the studio as soon as possible
Yeah.
to record a record. Whether that's an EP or an album, we're not really sure.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of, aside from the songs that we're playing live, we've got a bunch of other demos in the works. So it's kind of a case of what we'll pre-production on all of that stuff and see kind of what emerges and into a kind of cohesive project. And then hopefully get into the studio as soon as possible and record a record. And then hopefully, do a lot more gigs next year.
Is there a chance we'll
That's the plan.
see you? And is there a chance for going guys over here?
We're talking about maybe asking the
Potentially.
lads if they might have us play the Siege, maybe, or something. I don't know. See.
That sounds like
We can
it's
put in
gonna
a
happen,
word
doesn't
fee.
it?
all right,
We can certainly
let's
put in
think
a
about
word fee.
ourselves now. But
Yeah. I mean, we definitely wouldn't. We won't be available to play at Easter, but
Yeah.
potentially next Samhain.
Mhm.
that'd be great.
Yeah. So if Tall John or Kieran, if you're listening,
Believe you me, they are.
Well, I know. I'm just going to be listening, and we'll push you towards Coven at some point.
yeah, it'd be great.
Good on to Evan.
Get there.
Yeah, there
Get
you
on,
go,
Evan.
man.
Evan, come on, the fuck, get the boys over there, and we start the session out because there's a lot of hugging to be caught up on here.
Absolutely, yeah. We saw well, our friends, our friend me and Conor used to be in a band in Galway called Leechmouth, with our Finn, who's now in a band called Burner. We're
Oh
just
yeah,
over
they
doing
only played. I saw them, sure.
so-
Jesus, they were class.
2 weeks ago,
yeah,
Yeah.
So Finn plays bass in Burner, and
me and Finn went to school together. A very old friend.
Okay,
yeah,
Finn,
two mailmen.
yeah. They went down a
There's a lot of
treat
connection.
that tour. It was fucking busy. Every venue they played, it was more or less jammed. Like
Ours band, a crazy band.
Yeah,
We
we saw them
were
play a couple of weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
Or
we saw
last-
their first rehearsal early last year,
Yeah,
and like straight out the blocks, they were
yes, straight out.
so
the box,
tight. Like,
yeah.
I haven't
So,
I haven't
I
checked
think
them out,
things
but I
from
must. They sound pretty cool. Like you're
Yeah.
not the
They are
first one,
great.
actually.
They are great. And
I
I
was
think,
talking to a
like,
bunch of
what-
lads up in the jam room. I think it was like last Saturday or something, and there was a bit of a buzz about them. Yeah.
definitely worth checking out, man.
Sure,
I
it was a
think
great lineup. It was Burner, Worn Out, and Levain, and New Mud as well.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, that was some intense gig
Mudvayne,
that
did
was.
you say?
What?
Yeah, fucking no breaking that one, is there?
Mudvayne, was it?
No,
Mudvayne.
Lavaine.
it was a Mudvayne, Josh.
Levain and New Mud.
Oh, sorry, you got my
Yeah,
hopes up there.
It's a bit scrambled. It's a Monday.
If you're up for doing a cover of that, Josh, we do okay.
Yeah, man, full makeup, the whole lot, man. Yeah, let's do it.
Now,
But
wouldn't
yeah, I think like
surprise.
you're going back to. Sorry, Richie. Just
No, go on.
actually, what I have to say is not important. You can just.
It is. No, you're the guest. Go on. What?
No, I was just gonna say
Verse.
like Burner came out of the traps like really, really strong as well, and they've done like very well by being very like present in the first year. So I think like what you're going back to earlier about new bands and young starting out and trying to kind of come out strong. I think like it's if you can try and do that stuff, it's well worth it.
Be as focused as
Didn't really-
possible right
Yeah.
out the gates. Like,
Yeah. No, my point anyway, Josh and Conor, is the fact that like for a short enough CV in relation to what you have gigs wise and the quality of the release, it wouldn't surprise me, even by early next year, you could have 1 or 2 record labels sniffing around you, if you're that way inclined.
Thank you for saying so.
That'd be cool.
We'll never sign a record deal. No, I don't. We might.
For enough money, like I'll sign anything.
Howard is frantically throwing money into the meter there. He wants to say something. Look.
He is frozen again. Yeah.
It's like you can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you, but
It's like
not see you. Oh yeah.
It's like a combined pedigree, I think, of all the bands that you've all been in coming together to form something pretty special. And really enjoyed that track, and I really am looking forward to more. It just sounds so fucking good, and we hear so much. I always say when I'm talking to Richie, and it's rare I come on if I don't like a band, and when I do, I rave about how.
He's put a few more quid in the.
Yeah.
In the
But
meeting.
the sentiment I got, and so thank you very much, Howard. That's very kind of you to say. Really appreciate it.
And this
I did forget to plug. We are playing with Portrayal of Guilt on the 17th of December, I think, in Dare Shack
in
Bristol.
Bristol.
Yeah. So I did have that.
I have it written on the back of the skin.
So lads, I'm gonna call it a night here. And listen, Josh and Conor, thanks for taking the time to come on the show, first of all, and best of luck with Host Body. Myself and Howard are fans already, and after getting our tangent out of the way, like I just see nothing but good things coming down the line for you, and keep up the hard work. Shout out to Sam, Steve and Paddy who couldn't make it as well tonight.
Thank you so much for having us and for all the kind words. We really appreciate it.
Thanks to both of you.
Genuinely, thank you.
Being every bit of it. Great.
And Howard, thanks a million for joining us.
You, Howard.
I'm your co-host buddy tonight.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And as I always end the show, check out Host Body. The single is out on Bandcamp at the moment. Keep an eye on them. Check out the video again. Fantastic. And crucially, support your local metal scene. Thank you.